Good afternoon. My name is Leah Dufresne, and I'm here with a very special guest, Ms. Freitas. Thank you for being here. We're very happy that you chose to be a part of this exciting project.
Well, thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
So what branch of the military were you in?
I served in the United States Marine Corps.
What's that like?
It was very interesting. I didn't know what I was getting into when I joined, but now, I know it's the smallest of the branches, and it's the probably the tightest branch. We say that anybody who served is our brother and sister. It doesn't matter when they served, what era they served in. If you're a Marine, you're my brother, you're my sister.
Why did you choose that branch?
So I took the ASVAB in high school, and I scored very high on it. So all of the recruiters were, wanted to talk to me and get me to join. And at the time, I had recently gone on a field trip to Johnson & Wales University in Providence, Rhode Island. And I thought I wanted to get into hotel restaurant management. And when I talked to the Marine recruiter, he said, "Oh, we have a hotel in Hawaii." So that's why I joined. And I never got stationed in Hawaii.
When did you serve?
I served on active duty from 1986 until 1992, and then in the reserves, which is some active time, meaning like every one week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer, until 1997.
And where did you serve?
All over the place. I went to boot camp at Parris Island in South Carolina. I went to my military training school in North Carolina, and then I went to Arlington, Virginia for a few months. From there, I went to Yuma, Arizona, and while we were there, my whole unit picked up and deployed to Okinawa, Japan, and then so we were there for about 6 months, and then I came back. I went to Tampa, Florida, and Desert Storm happened, so I was sent to Germany for 3 months, and then I went back to Florida, and then I went back to Japan again for another year. So I was literally all over in 6 years.
And what was your job in the military?
I did what relates to the civilian world, human resources. So if a Marine was transferring, I did the paperwork to transfer them to their new duty station. I would update their service records to indicate, when they got to that base, what unit they were assigned to, when they left, which is important now for benefits, where people served. If they got married, if they had a child, I'd make sure that they were getting their dependent allowance, they were getting health care, things like that. So it was like an HR personnel position.
What were some of the other reasons, if there was any?
I wanted to get out of where I grew up. I wanted to get out of New Bedford, where I grew up. I wasn't popular in high school. I didn't think I was very smart. I didn't really apply myself, so I didn't think college was really an option for me. And I had 2 older female cousins who joined, one in the Army and one in the Air Force. So I thought, that's an option. Let me try it. And I'm glad I did.
Were you drafted, or did you join voluntarily?
Well, so every single woman who has ever served has joined voluntarily, because women are not subject to the draft. So if you ever meet a woman veteran, just know that she chose that as her path in life.
Can you tell me about a memorable experience during your service?
So for me, I think the most memorable experience, and probably the most proud experience that I had, was when I was in Germany during Desert Storm. I was meritoriously promoted to the rank of sergeant, and I didn't know it was going to happen. So we had the commanding general, who was the highest person at that for that duty station, came down to see all of us. That we were Marine liaisons working at Army and Air Force hospitals in Europe. And so the commanding general of the Marine came down and introduced him to us and us to him. And so as we were going around, I said my rank was corporal. And he said, "Sergeant?" And I said, "No, sir, I'm a corporal." And he said, "From everything I've heard about you, you deserve to be a sergeant." And he promoted me right there on the spot. And I was incredibly proud of that.
What's a funny moment that happened during
So a funny story was in boot camp. So in boot camp, their goal is to break you down and then reform you into a Marine or a soldier or a sailor, whatever branch you happen to join. And so one of the things that they did in Marine Corps boot camp was they would say, okay, get in your rack or your bed, get in your rack, get out of your rack, get in your rack, and just messing with us. So we would have to, get in there, and sometimes they would have us do like mock exercises, jumping jacks, things like that while we were laying down, and then get out of the rack. And so at one point, they said, get out of your rack. So we're all standing online, as we called it, at attention, and back in the very back of the squad bay, there was one of the women recruits was still in her rack. And the drill instructor said, why are you still in your rack? And she said, I don't have my glasses on, so I couldn't hear you. And we were trying so hard not to laugh. And finally, the drill instructor was like, okay, you can laugh. And we just recently, her and me and about 6 other women, they all went to boot camp together just last year in January. We had a reunion, which was the first time we had seen each other in over 30 years. So it was pretty amazing. So that was a funny story that stuck with me. And she couldn't believe that I remembered that story.
What else was boot camp like?
It's tough. I mean, it's not, I'm not going to lie and say it was easy. It's tough. Your whole life changes. I was 17 years old. I turned 18 6 days before I graduated boot camp. So I was very young. And, it's constant PT, they call it, physical training, exercising. If you get in trouble, the whole entire platoon gets in trouble, and everybody has to pay for it with doing exercises in a sand pit. But you form a bond with the people that you're there with, and that bond is unbreakable. So, it's tough, but it's rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did your service shape you as a person?
So I was very quiet. I was very shy when I was 17 years old, and it broke me of that. Now, if I try to tell people that I'm shy now, they laugh at me because I'll just talk to any stranger on the street. It doesn't matter. So I think it gave me a sense of confidence that I didn't have back then. Yeah.
Did your military service lead to the work you did after you left the military?
So indirectly, yeah. So I'm the veteran service officer for the town of Westport. And in Massachusetts, it's a part of the state law that every single of the 351 cities and towns has to have a veteran service officer. But that person has to be a veteran. So, if I didn't serve in the military, I could not have this job.
Thank you for your participation in this project, and thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.